let me play this because Tucker Carlson spoke, and some of the responses to this are so freaking funny. Okay? They're hilarious. Listen.
Not acceptable. And I think the real answer is Jeffrey Epstein was working on behalf of intel services, probably not American. And we have every right to ask, on whose behalf was he working? How does a guy go from being a math teacher at the Dalton School in the late 70s with no college degree to having multiple airplanes, a private island, and the largest residential house in Manhattan? Where did all the money come from? And no one has ever gotten to the bottom of that because no one has ever tried. And moreover, it's extremely obvious to anyone who watches that this guy had direct connections to a foreign government. Now, no one's allowed to say that that foreign government is Israel because we have been somehow cowed into thinking that that's naughty. There is nothing wrong with saying that. There is nothing hateful about saying that. There's nothing anti-Semitic about saying that. There's nothing even anti-Israel about saying that. I've spent my entire life pretty much in Washington, where I knew and loved a number of people, including one very close person who worked at CIA. That has never prohibited me from saying, I think the CIA has done some horrible things, murdered a bunch of people, participated in the murder of a sitting US president. It's got a whole trail of crimes. That doesn't make me a disloyal American. It doesn't make me anti-American in any sense. I was born here. My family's been here for hundreds of years. I love this country. That's why I live here. So criticizing the behavior of a government agency does not make you a hater. It makes you a free person. It makes you a citizen. You're allowed to do that because you're not a slave. You're a citizen. And you have a right to expect that your government will not act against your interests, and you have a right to demand that foreign governments not be allowed to act against your interest. That's not creepy. It shouldn't be forbidden. And yet all of us have trained ourselves to believe that you can't say that somehow, that that's like too naughty and forbidden. And the effect of making that off limits has been to create a lot of resentment, and I'll say it, hate online, where people feel like they can't just say, like, what the hell is this? You have the former Israeli prime minister living in your house. You have had all this contact with the foreign government. Were you working on behalf of Mossad? Were you running a blackmail operation on behalf of foreign government? By the way, every single person in Washington, D.C. thinks that. I've never met anyone who doesn't think that. I don't know any of them that hate Israel, but no one feels they can say that. Why? And I think the longer that we play along with it, the more subterranean and creepy and hateful the conversation actually becomes. So I think it's better just to say it right out loud. Did this happen? And of course, that question has been asked to the government of Israel, and their answer is, we're not going to tell you. And I think our answer should be, no. As long as we're sending you money, if you were committing crimes on our soil, we have an absolute right to know, did you do this or not? And yet everybody has been so brainwashed into thinking that's somehow an expression of hate or bigotry, when it's not. It's a baseline question that every U.S. citizen has a right to an answer on. What the hell was this? And by the way, if it turns out that it was nothing.
I wasn't there, so I kind of want to get your guys' perspective. You were in the crowd for this? Yeah?
No, I was interviewing people. I was running around interviewing.
Were you here for this? How do we even,
at least I can be honest about it.
Well, okay, I walked in. I was there for some of his speech, but I wasn't there for that. But I was in the VIP lounge and just like listening, kind of. So I was like hearing bits and pieces.
But I'm saying, you were there. Were people cheering? Were people excited? Like, or was
everyone was talking about it. They were just like, oh, well, it seems like Tucker just called out Mossad.
There's like a 50-50 because there were some videos shared from a different angle where the second he started talking about Israel, you had people getting up and leaving.
Those were Israel first.
Listen, I saw that, but the thing is, that was during the Q&A, and it was like, they're just leaving because it was the end of the speech. Because he was talking about Israel during his speech too, but usually it's like they start the Q&A and some people will leave because it's like the speech is done. And that kind of happens with every speech at Turning Point. So I don't really think that's because he was talking about Israel. I just think that was like, a few people are always leaving, you know?
Interesting. So. I saw so many quotes online, people saying, how dare he? They're not implicated at all. What's wrong with you? And I'd love just saying, well, then release it. If you're innocent, just release the files. Because if there was one thing that I would want more than anything as, Netanyahu or some government official, I'd be like, no, Israel's not implicated whatsoever. Trump released the whole files. Let's show to the world just how innocent we are. Why won't you?
But here's the new narrative. That's why I want to cover this. The new narrative is this. It's a comment underneath his video here. And like, of course, look, it's always these accounts right here underneath the video. Like it's this guy like with like a lion and like Israeli flags. It's like, I believe you are working for Iran, unbiased account.
It's like, I wonder who you're working for.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, look at the flag guy.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And then the flag guy's like, Tucker has presented zero evidence. It's all conjecture, which is exactly why he is such a pathetic grifter. This is the narrative that the Israelis are taking. Now, I'm actually honest. So I don't call them Israeli bots. I don't call them, these are real people. It's called being zogged out. These are real people that are zogged out, and they are often brainwashed. Many are evangelicals or Jewish people themselves. And they think that when you say, hey, like the prime minister of Israel is directly connected to Jeffrey Epstein. You also know Ghislaine's father is connected to Mossad. You also realize that the billionaire financer is a massive Zionist connected to the government.
Also, Epstein has
also
Steen in his name.
Correct. Epstein is from Connecticut. So yeah, which is what we're all thinking. Meaning, okay, so they go, you presented zero evidence. I just presented evidence there that's like, hey, this is for a population that's like 0.01% of the world's population. That's a small country that allegedly, statistically shouldn't be involved. There seems to be a lot of these Steens around, and there's also the, high-ranking government officials and connections to actual Israeli intelligence in direct connection. Now, does that prove anything? Well, no, not necessarily. But if everyone's saying that, it's like, hey, this is what it looks like. And then they're like, then just show us what's going on. And they're like, the Israeli government says, we're not going to do that. And the United States government says, we're not going to do that. It's called deductive reasoning, or it's called a reductionism. It's when you sit down and then I saw some Jew literally go, that's reductionist, which is like the speech and debate, like loser, low IQ thing when like you make a good point and then they're saying you're oversimplifying it.